It's okay to like sex because I think, that is one of the important things in a relationship if we're talking about that. But it's not okay if we're like relying on that. Welcome everybody back to the Rally Cry podcast. My name is Angel.
My name is Tyler.
And you guys are here because you want to learn and be more aware of the things that's important to talk about till a now and down day basis. Oh, I almost messed up there.
Oh, boy. No, you're that excited. It's okay. I understand. Courage.
Yo, I love that.
That was a great show, but scary at the same time.
Yeah, I'd be scared sometimes.
As a kid, what's it called? Return the slab.
Yo, I didn't like that episode.
Suffer my curse.
Sounds good, mommy. All right, guys, we just had a little moment right there. But whatever podcast, your favorite podcast app, make sure you subscribe to us, like our videos if there's anything that actually resonates with you. And if there's anything you guys want to let us know about, leave it down below if it's a topic or anything that was pointed out to you in the current episode you were listening to or watching as well. You can watch us on YouTube, podcast, whatever platforms that is, as I mentioned. But,
Apple,
if you don't know,
Spotify podcasts, Google Podcasts, Castbox, and also if you want to also chime in some comments where, let's say there's new studies that may differ from the studies that we provide, challenge us, and we could also get a conversation going.
Absolutely,
interaction.
Yes, I like that. Actually, mentioning about that, we are thinking about setting up Discord and or a family group page so that if there's anything that you guys want to talk about, if it's venting or just certain topics you think that is important for us to be aware about, because that's really what it's about. We can do it as a form of community, so everybody's free to go on there and just kind of spew out to what they feel, what they think, and maybe even what they know, based on their perspective. And if you guys don't know, if you guys are watching us on YouTube, you can see our setup is a lot different now.
I can tell you this right now, these chairs are so amazing, and the aesthetic with oh wow.
Oh yeah, that's exactly how I'm feeling right now.
And mind you, with this setup for the mics, you can't tell me these don't look amazing. And for the people that are listening on Spotify, I hope this teases your ears enough to want to go hit that link and watch what we got.
Yes.
Because why? Appreciate the growth from what we started with to now. Look where we're at,
and we got so much more. We're gonna have a guest come on. And by the way, if you are also watching, I do got a glass of wine in my hands. Psych! I lied. It's grape juice, but you gotta
Welch's.
It's Welch. It's grape juice. Hey, there's nothing wrong with having grape juice and still trying to have fun. You know what I mean? This is fun when you drink out of a fancy cup. Come on now. So
this guy. Yo, dramatic. Yo, he felt like he was at a fancy restaurant. He was like, au revoir.
I did, though.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. What does that even mean?
Probably something in French.
Obviously. All right, never mind.
I'm not French.
Oh, you know what? You're right. But you know what is something that is in French? French toast.
Okay, I speak that language very well.
Oh. Anyways, all right, guys, I really appreciate Tyler here, myself, and you guys are listening to us, and just want to have a little moment and venting out into other things, like little fillers, right? But what is the main topic that we're going to be talking about is sex addiction or hyper-sexuality, and is it real? Where does it come from? And how can we really know if it's sexual addiction? Because a lot of times, we could just be sexually active, we like sex, and it's okay to like sex because I think that is one of the important things in a relationship if we're talking about that. But it's not okay if we're relying on that. If we're thinking that is something that should reward us if we're going through certain situations in the relationship, after an argument, how many times this relationship, oh yeah, you want to kiss me now that we solved it? Or
that makeup sex.
Yeah. Yeah, hey, it be working sometimes.
It talks all languages at once.
And be like, oh yeah, I feel that sorry in there.
Like,
oh yeah,
yo, hold on, let me just get in there. Like,
but to an extent, it could be detrimental in a relationship that you're currently in, or for you to even get into one. Because when we solely rely on it, that's when it becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not necessarily the behavior. And so when we depend on it, it makes us incapable of taking our partner serious. Meaning by, like, for example, like if you always want to have a solution and that is always sex when y'all arguing, like, are y'all actually diffusing the problem? Like, y'all argue, it didn't seem like there was eye to eye. And let's say she wants to have sex with you. It's just like wait, are you trying to seduce me right now?
We're not going to resolve this? Like, you're trying to sexually bribe me?
Yeah, and you, honestly, you know, I can only have the experiences, but it's happened to me.
Yeah.
Trying to shut me up with, Toto. Like, come on now.
No, and the thing is, it's because of the fact that, like, because as guys, we are so simple, they think, all right, you know what, let me just give him some sex, and he'll probably shut up, and he'll forget about it. And it's like, yo, not for nothing. And the thing is, now on social media, they promote that. They be like, you know, all you gotta do, as long as you know how to give your man some good head, then, like, he'll shut up and he'll forget what y'all talking about. And it's like,
bro,
damn, like, you guys are that easy to, like, just shut up. Like, all you need is a little pacifier and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
That happens to you. That's a red flag.
Then you, like, if it's an anime and you're reading the manga and, like, you got the big exclamation points, like, and the Japanese symbol goes like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like, Nani?
And I just think that's just what it is in, like, the generation we're in. Like, they promote such things that is toxic, that is not good in sustaining a relationship, but then therefore people want one. It's like, well, if you want one, you have to be prepared to get one. You can't just expect to get something and not be preparing for it. It's like cooking, or if it's getting ready for a job interview. Like, if you want the job, you have to reach certain requirements in order to get this job. And that's just metaphorically speaking. It's not to literally say, because, you know, there's different aspects to that. But I think when it comes to sex addiction, there's people that, you know, think it's real. There's some people that think it's not real and it's a myth. And there's people that just joke about it. Yeah. And a lot of times we joke about it. Like, oh yeah, you know, I'm so sexually attracted to you. Like, let me just, you know, they don't even know what to do with themselves kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, they say whatever they want to say, but it's just like,
it's like they're just so hungry for the sex. Like, they just seem incompetent at that point. Like, sex is the only thing on their mind, and they're like at a rush. Like, oh, nothing else matters. I just need to fuck.
And honestly, that what happens is that when someone's like that, it makes them compulsive, and that gives compulsive behavior. And they're just doing it because of the urge, like you mentioned. Like, it's just that urge. It's like we were talking about it earlier, and it was how, like, you brought up, and I truly agree on, because I was thinking the same thing. And I was talking about, like, you know, the same urge that you have when you're hungry. Yeah. And it's like, what do we do? A lot of times we're driving, damn, I'm a little hungry right now. Yeah. And what are you looking to your left or right? You seen Mickey D's. Or you see BK. Or the Chick-fil-A bars.
Or Subway.
Hey. So Subway's a little healthier, but
of course.
The point is that what happens in that situation, you settle for that, right? And this is just to have an understanding of how addiction can be created.
Guilty pleasure.
Yes. So after the time you eat McDonald's, right? We're metaphorically speaking still, right? And you eat it, and it wasn't even that good, and you're like, damn, I feel like poop, shit, whatever.
Actually, that food does make you feel like shit.
It really does, though. I'm like, damn, I feel like I haven't ate. I get me a $5 biggie bag, and I'm like, yo, this did not sustain my hunger. I got hungry within 5 minutes. So you telling me it's called a 5 biggie bag because after 5 minutes, I'm going to get hungry? Because that ain't good. But, hey, it was what you pay for, right? Yep. And so, okay, so the point is, with that long story, is just like, you know, when you're hungry, you get this urge. When you want sex, you get this urge. And you're more likely to settle to what is available to you, especially like, if we want to talk about gender roles, I truly believe that, you know, men have sex of who they can, and women can have sex with whoever they want. Yes. Because, you know, they actually have more options there. You know what I mean? Like, women are more social creatures, so they're more likely to be around other people. And, you know, with the face of beauty, that's something that causes attraction.
Yep.
And so, therefore, as men, we are attracted by that because we are visual creatures, as we stated on a previous episode.
And for men, it's the status. So it's like,
Exactly.
it's even like back in high school. It's like, you know, all the athletes always had most of the attention.
Yeah.
Athletes had most of the attention. Anybody who was funny had a lot of the attention. And it's kind of like it was a hierarchy, like probably like through like a king, queen, and jack on a card deck. Yep. And you had those 3 tiers, and then after that, everybody else falls in like the numbers.
Right.
And based on your numbers, will like categorize your level in a way.
Huh. Interesting.
See, like, and also so, like another thing to chime in on, like what Angel was saying, because like even when it comes to hunger, you have to think about like there's times like we don't have to like really pay attention to our hunger. Like Angel mentioned, like if we got food at the house, there's no need for us to be spending money on fast food, but that's how they get you because it's tempting. And if we include color psychology, oh wow, my voice cracked. If we include color psychology, red is alarming. That's the first. It's the only color that we can immediately see and pick up on. And yellow is a sign for hunger. So that's why McDonald's is red and yellow. That's why BK has red and yellow in it, along with the blue. And blue is calming and peaceful. So like it's kind of entering and it's kind of like alluring.
Right.
And to go in with that, let's say somebody who's in high peak physical condition, and they have to eat like 5 times a day to keep up with their protein intake and to keep up with how much of everything that they need because they have a lot of muscle in their body. But as far as for, let's say, the average person who hopefully would eat just 3 times a day and not excessively and not working out, then, you know, they would look at it like, dang, are you sure that's not eating too much? Because, like, 5 meals a day, like, that's to make the time for it. So you got to meal prep, of course, but then it's like you could fill yourself up 5 times a day and be okay. Like, that is a big diet, but it's like everybody's a different lifestyle, and also we only are concerned with addiction when we see its severest form. And that's where people get like a little bit misguided because, like, as you mentioned, like, right. You know, people can have sex once a week, people can have sex every day, people can have sex once a month. And, you know, when we hear these different roles, like, damn, that's not, like, are you sure? Like, that's a healthy relationship? It's healthy for them. And, you know, we try to compare it with our situation. So we're, let's say you're in a relationship and you're the type of relationship that likes to have sex at least like 5 times a week. That's good for you. But then for other people, it's like, you know, they would look at that as addiction compared to having sex like bi-weekly.
Right. Bow wow in the background. They talking too.
Yeah, see, look, he preaching. He said, yeah, you talk your shit. You talk your shit.
Honestly, when you was talking about that, you know, I felt like the bow wows almost got me
a little distracted.
Yeah. It's kind of just to say where it comes to the people that have sex, either it's every day, every other week, or anything like that. When you was mentioning that, it's just not about how often they have sex, right? Because like you said, everybody might think that it's healthy for that person, and you might think, well, that's too much for me. Now, at that point, we're talking about preference. So now we're thinking like, okay, so what is sex addiction, and how will we know that? And it's like, I kind of said it earlier, it's just a dependency on it. So, for the example, if I'm used to getting sex every other day, or let's say every week, right?
Yep.
And I get it consistently every week, I'm going to be accustomed to that. I'm going to get comfortable with that.
Yep. And
so what happens is, like, let's say I didn't have sex, now it's been a month, and I'm stressing. I'm stressing. And it happens, though. It happens to everybody. Yes, it happened to me. It happened to plenty of people. But it's more of the fact of, like, what do I do within that urge that I'm tempting for? Do I settle? Or can I actually have the self-control to have the responsibility and not do certain things that is compulsive? And so, therefore, it's like when someone relies on, like, smoking weed, right? A lot of the times they're having a bad day and they're like, oh, I just need to smoke real quick. Now you're depending on it. You're depending on something else to make you feel better. So a lot of times when people have sex, it's because of the validation that they get from society. For the example as, like, let's say for men, right? We've been laughed at as a whole, men, like like if we're virgins, it should be funny, right? They make fun of it. We talk about it. It's all
you're
those things.
You're a virgin, bro. Oh my God, get a life.
And the girls see, oh, you're a virgin. Oh my God, that's so cute.
You're such
Tap
a
on
baby.
The face, like this. Look,
no. It's when they, you're such a baby.
Or they just go like,
oh, he's growing his beard too.
Oh, you got a little peach fuzz. Oh, you growing up so fast.
You're growing up. Don't worry.
Maybe if you eat more ass, that'll get. Yo, that'd be funny.
Yo,
right?
nah, like it would really be a switch like that. I mean, it was just the other day that like I was walking out of my house and like it was clear that like I'm the only person within the vicinity and these group of women were talking, and then like I'm there and they looked in my direction because I looked at them, and then the other one was still talking and saying like, I know I like my ass eating, and I'm like,
hey yo,
like what? Like come on, like what are we talking about? And I, like y'all all see me, so like what?
Yo, some people don't really care. They just exposed to what they want.
And if that's their way of flirting, hey, what if it was me?
Oh man, please don't.
But with how much ego that situation had, and with what you were saying, and because of once that dependency grows so likely, it then transforms into sexual narcissism. And when someone is narcissistic, they're full of themselves. It's them or the world,
right?
And as personal as everything can be for them, because they want to protect their exact identity. With sexual narcissism, it's somebody is specializing in manipulation and wanting to get sex whenever they want, and they'll do that in ways of, let's say, putting your needs last. They don't care about your needs. They will do this in a way to recover from an argument. They will do this in ways to change the conversation, and based off body language, they would try to utilize their surroundings to make it more tempting to have sex. They would try to put you in a situation where you're conditioned to have sex more often when they want it and less than when you want it. So when you want it, they probably wouldn't give it to you.
Right.
So it's only when they want it that they'd probably have sex with you.
I find that
they'd have sex with you more often when they want it rather than when you want
it. Damn. So now I know there's going to be some of us thinking at home like,
who is like this?
Yo, right?
Who is like this? Like who asks for sex more? Like we should check in on that.
I'm just saying, like, if Tyler's talking about this right now and you have a sexual partner or you have a significant other and you're having sex with them and you try to tell them in ways that they can improve and they don't improve, maybe they're just narcissism.
And then also like
narcissistic within sex.
And you got to think about it like this too, right? Like
that's funny.
People that are sexually narcissistic, they tend to lack interest in creating emotional intimacy. So for them, it's like, you know, they could have sex and the sex could be amazing, but there's no emotional connection within it. So it's like the other person would think like, damn, like, yo, this is like, I think I got feelings for this person. Or like, let's say you're in a relationship and like, I think I love this, I think I love him, or I think I love this chick. And then like the other person is like, you know, it's just like nothing to them. Like they don't like, you good. Like it was just sex.
It's definitely like something that happens more within men and women. Like men are more likely to have less emotional attachment towards a person they have sex with rather than a woman, because women are more emotionally aware, and so they use that as their front lines in order to building a relationship, which is actually one of the ways that makes women more likely to keep that balance within the relationship. And it's not to say men can't be emotionally attached to a woman, but that's only if that's their intention. And a lot of times men's intentions are not that, unfortunately, by majority. There's a minority of men that actually want to take a woman serious, or, you know, if they've once reached their time of done having fun, they want to take a woman serious. You know, to the extent there's a majority of men that want to have fun for a little bit and then, you know, settle down. And that's the same way with women. They have their ways of saying, well, they want to have fun and they want to be whatever they call it on social media. Say it, city girl, city boy, whatever you want to say it.
City boy!
City boy!
City boy!
So it's really just to say that they kind of just do their thing. And
I mean, they also say that like with sexual narcissism, or at least somebody who genuinely believes that they are I don't want to say it, like they are deserving of sex whenever they want. So they believe that in their world that like they can get sex whenever they want, and especially within the realm of a relationship that they have access to it 100%. So like your body belongs to me type of thing, like where we have sex whenever I want and it doesn't matter, and it roots from a low self-esteem and a strong sense of insecurities that haven't been resolved, and at least where like, let's say, for example, somebody could be so beautiful, man or woman, and they think that they're ugly because there's insecurities about themselves that they haven't found resolution with. and it can get to the point where it's so nasty where they have to indulge in certain things where it's like nobody should be getting into this. Like they're only self-sabotaging themselves because of what something is making them feel like.
Right. And that's just kind of going in for the fact of how, using sex as validation. Mm-hmm. And that could be to their childhood traumas.
It's comforting.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of chemicals that releases when you do have sex. Mm-hmm. And if you guys don't know, when we have sex, we get that chemical that releases that makes us feel good. It's like rewarding, which is called oxytocin. Actually, dopamine, Yeah. Oxytocin is the love hormone, which makes us feel more bonded with the other person. And so maybe that's why when I was saying, I don't know, if it's a question, like, do us men then have less oxytocin than women? If that is the case, because if it's a love hormone, how much more of a percentage do we release if we're having sex with another person?
Well, if anything, I mean, that would be something to invest into looking, because we got to think about like how many more regions of the brain that women are connected with their emotions, and we only have one place in our, and for men, there's only one place in our brain that is connected with our emotions. Right. And so being able to acknowledge so many emotions at once coming together, I think that's what makes it so intense, especially for feelings, and why women do feel more. And because they have that sense of security with understanding what emotions are at a sooner rate, that's why, it's a lot more intense for them. Like when for guys, we probably don't realize it right away, because like we have to, like, it just has to be that moment like where we say it to admit it, but then at the same time it's like, how long did it take? Because like, how in tune are you with your emotions? Not saying guys are incapable at all of acknowledging their emotions right away or slow, but like, even then, if a guy hasn't had any luck with relationships or isn't experiencing a lot of relationships, saying I love you or being in love with somebody is something that like could be difficult for them to acknowledge, like, oh, I think I love this person.
Yeah, and a lot of times when someone can be really fully addicted to having sex, it could just be like what they're coping with whatever past traumas they had, or something that they felt they were exposed to too early on, because
use this to run away from problems.
Yeah. And or like, there's the coping part, but then there's also the exposure. Like us nowadays, like even us men are more exposed to pornography. Like it's all over the place, and it's talked about often.
It's on Instagram, and like now to the point where like Instagram is almost becoming like Twitter, because you can almost get away with like, because like it's called Twitter porn, literally on Twitter, because Twitter doesn't have a filter. And like, and it's funny to say it like that, but Twitter really doesn't have a filter. Shout out to Twitter. But like,
when I was like in high school, or even a little bit before that, they used to have like those memes of like very sexual things on Twitter, and like they're just doing like certain like movements, and it's just like a GIF almost of like sexual things that
now it's like the full on like, oh, now you gonna watch this video and you don't need to go on Pornhub. Like
basically,
that's exactly
it'll probably even come from there. Who knows? But it's crazy how they even had it on there.
I got you. The promo will be on Pornhub, and then it'll be on Twitter.
Probably, who knows? But it's really just to say that when you're young as a kid, if it's a boy or girl, I say, it's just that they're more likely to be so more addicted to it because of that exposure so early on. Because one thing that men are told a lot, if we're talking about pornography, is that not to beat your stick, not to beat your meat. Stuff like that is not good for you.
Don't spank your monkey.
You're spank your monkey. It's not good because it's not the actual real thing. So what happens is like you're manipulating your mind in a sense to what it could be,
and it decreases your gray matter in your brain too.
Exactly. So that's why we promote not to do that. But it's not really to say, well, like, oh, if it's not the real thing, then means I should go and seek out get the real thing. Then no, not really, because
self-control. You don't need it.
Yeah, you don't need it. Again, dependency. If you feel like you need it, I need it, then that's bad.
But then also, like, if we're gonna get biblical and talk about the Bible, we're only supposed to have sex when we're about to procreate. So technically, like, we only have sex when we know that we're going to make kids.
You want to be a daddy. Or, if you're listening, you want to be...
Mama. Like... and
why did that sound so on point, though?
Oh, for Toy Story?
I mean, I wasn't thinking that, but that's even funnier, though. Mama. That just...
I've been doing that since high school.
Mama. Yo, it was just so perfect.
It was just silent in the background. Yep. It was like,
mama. It was just what's it called? The delivery. The delivery was too funny. I actually have some stats here.
You know, and I have a fact too that I want to follow up on after that.
Bet. So I got one here, right? In 2018, NBC News reported a national survey of more than 2,000 adults found on average, more than 8% of them reported symptoms of compulsive sexual behavior disorder, a persistent pattern of failure in controlling intense sexual urges that leads to distress and social impairment. Crazy, right? And 2018 is not that far away. Like, we're not going to do years, like, year after year. I mean, they might just be more recently one coming up.
But at least within the last at least 5 to 10 years, that's pretty recent, though.
Yeah, and it's going off average, you know what I mean? Like, it's on average. It's not to say, like, 2,000 people. There's thousands of people in the world.
And then
like, well,
imagine, after COVID, imagine how much it's changed. Think about that after a time like COVID. You're alone.
You got the point, me friend.
Alone. You don't know if anybody got the Rona.
You know, there was a lot of things that happened within COVID. Like, people got businesses. People went to the gym more. People found themselves more.
People got onto podcasts.
I'm low-key one of them. I mean, not really, but... Hey,
it was a little bit after.
Yeah.
It was on the come down because we had the Delta variant, I think, around that time when we started.
Man, I'm so not in tune with that. At this point, it's just like, you know what? If I had COVID, so when I got COVID, I couldn't smell or taste anything. Bro, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was crazy. I was like, yo, I can't smell fresh air.
I literally had to get the vaccine for a job that I was at.
Oh,
and
man.
They said if I don't get the vaccine, I got to go get tested 2 to 3 times a week. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? No, I'm not wasting my time. So, unfortunately, yep, I shut up and got the vaccine. But either way, I never got COVID. I just I had to get that.
Yeah, it happened to me when it came to having to go to school. I had to get the shot. 2 of them. Not the booster shot. I didn't get that. I'm sorry. Yeah, I wouldn't get it.
I'm like, yo, like, there's no need for that. Like, I'm black and I'm proud. I could do this.
Yeah.
I could do this. And what was that all for the stats?
Yeah, that's all I have for at least for that stats. Yeah.
Okay.
What's yours though?
Okay, so from Healthline.com, medically reviewed by Janet Brito with a PhD license, she says that in fact, experts have linked individuals who display coercive behaviors to infidelity, sexual aggression, and other harmful behaviors. So people who have sexual narcissism or who are sexually narcissistic, they are more likely to cheat. They are more likely to be sexually aggressive and take it when they want it. So let's say you could be doing something and they'll try to take you out of your segment. And let's say you're playing a video game. Let's say you're reading and they're begging for it. Or they're saying, like, can you please just, like, give me sex? Please, like, I've been waiting for it all day. And then you could go back to doing whatever you're doing. Like, they're interrupting what you want to do. Like, exactly. So now they're trying to sway you, like, all right, whatever. And then, like, it's not trying to say that you're willingly giving it to them and you're just, like, doing yourself to their needs, but also at the same time is, like, how bad is that they want sex where they couldn't have waited until you're done with your segment, and then it's like, okay, like, we can do that. But, like, once again, like, how much do you need it? Once again, because it's not like we need it to survive, but how strong is your desire? How strong is your lust factors?
That's true. I think a lot of times when someone is addicted to sex, it's like you're borderline compulsive. Because when you're compulsive, it's like you're driven and you feel forced as like you need it. Like if they can't get it, they'll do whatever it takes to get it.
It's that like burning passion, like where like, it'll get you like through so much stuff. Like there could be a titanium wall in front of you and you'll try to find your way through it.
Exactly. And it's like what happens is that's why when someone talks about love and lust, they say like lust is like a lot more fiery. And it's just like passion, like it's like they're passionate for it, but it's like it's not passionate for the right thing. And it's just like it's to say that passion could be for the wrong reasons. And it's just like if you're passionate on having sex with someone, it's like like there needs a balance between it because I mean, the thing with sex addiction is not like clinically proven. It's not like we can go to the doctors and be like, yep, you got a sex addiction. It's kind of just like alcohol. Like, you know, if you're addicted to alcohol, you're more likely to do certain things after the fact of drinking it. Like sometimes people can't even control themselves after drinking. And it's almost the same thing when someone have sex. They don't know how to emotionally stabilize themselves. And they use that to kind of cope with what they're actually hurting from. You know, a lot of times when someone drinks, they cry. or they fill out, they pour out their emotions. And what
happens?
happens?
The truth.
And what happens when a lot of times when you are having sex with, I'll say from my experience, if you have sex with a girl and she cries, like, are you hurt? Did I hurt you? Or
like, we're using this to like get over something.
Yeah,
because you don't know if because there are times where
that's definitely another red flag. I'll be like, she's crying and I didn't do anything.
Like, and I think you could even pair that with like was I a rebound? And I'm not upset that I'm a rebound, but like, did you rebound too soon? Because like, at this point, it sounds like you're a jammed finger now. Because like you're a rebound too soon, because like you go for the rebound too soon, and at the momentum it could potentially be could jam your finger
at the
that's happened before. Yeah, like if you go to it and you don't know how hard it's hitting like the rim or the backboard.
Ouch.
That's happened to me. I broke my finger like that,
bro. My thumb's still messed up right now.
Yeah, so my pinky's still like kind of swollen, so like I crack it from time to time.
I think I got trauma because when I heard jam, I was
he's a punk, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's just been too long. But I think like when people use sex as a validation, it's just like it's not healthy, and it's like how long is that gonna do you for?
Conflating pleasure with validation makes sex tricky because it's never just about the sex.
Yep.
And when it becomes more than just the sex, it shows that the person doesn't have good management abilities, because obviously, we have lust. We have love if you are in a relationship with this person, and then you have all these chemicals in our brains of releasing with dopamine, oxytocin, and think about how you manage that after you have your clarity, because after you're done having sex, and if you can finish, both parties, post-nut clarity. Now we have this post-nut clarity, and now when our mind is flushed, okay, we know the emotions we felt. Now where do I place them? Am I dumping anything out because I'm not there yet? Am I putting it to the side and maybe I'll leave it there because I don't know if that could develop anymore? And that's really important when it comes to managing, because if you don't have any boundaries, then you can be someone who uses sex as validation, and when it comes to dating, you don't have any success with dating anybody because you're so quick to have sex. And this goes for guy or girl. And imagine, you go on the first date with somebody, you have sex with them, and you already got feelings for them, and you start showing that by the second date, and because they're not there yet, and let's say you fail to communicate that by creating boundaries or letting them know of certain things, then it's like they can catch along with the pace. But because they didn't know, they feel like, all right, they're getting a little bit too clingy. I'm just trying to casually date right now. And I think like after that first night, it's like, I don't know.
I mean, so are you saying like someone that can feel too clingy in the first day is a form of
I won't say somebody being too clingy, but because let's say if there's a guy or a woman, all right, let's say a woman in this case, and a woman gets validation from sex, and emotionally she gets that validation, and it makes her feel good about herself when she is dating somebody. And after that comes, she does get more feelings and everything like that. And I'm not saying that is wrong, but then we got to think about how now it's a requirement, and now the foundation is like we have sex every day. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's
so like
where
to already
down from like
exactly. So like if we're having sex every day, then it's like think about how easy it is to get there, and like think about how much more, I guess, meaningful or wholesome it is knowing that you guys didn't rush to really have sex. Because like in the end, you would just like the main thing is like, is sex gonna be good with this person? Do they know what they're doing? That's what it really matters. It doesn't matter about like when it happens. It's like really just you want to make sure that they know what they're doing. So I mean, yeah, you may be eager or like a little bit anxious, like I hope they're good because I don't know what they're like. But so that's why I think that in the foundational setting, when you do start dating, you don't have to have sex right away.
Yeah, because sex is not a foundation you want to step off of.
And think about it. And for guys, some women may think that if I just, give him sex as much as he wants, he'll be good to me, he won't do nothing, and then, we'll be happily ever after, but it takes more than that.
Right. I think it's just we've been primed for that. We think that, yes, sex is important, but it's like it's not important and it's not going to be sustainable to having a relationship. Like, there's a lot of areas in a relationship that involve of having a good one. If it's, able to have intimate talks and able to address problems and knowing how to work things out and not give up on the other person when you know that they're trying or anything like that. Yes, and it's just like to a degree, is like, well, how much are they trying? And every time when you are in a predicament of something, like we're talking about sex addiction, is like it's really hard to see if you do have sex addiction, because it's like, well, I like having sex, one can say. And it's just like, okay, well, can you not have it though? Like, if you have it once a month, can you just not have it for 3 months and be celibate for a while? Can you do that? You know what I mean? How much of a requirement is it for you? And it's just like, yes, we have preferences to, let's say if we're getting into a relationship, how long is it going to be until you give me it? You know what I mean? Honestly. Because to an extent, I don't know how you would want to be with someone if it's not good. It's just like, okay, now I'm in a little in a jip right now because you cool, but you ain't good in the bedroom.
It's pretty dry right here.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I genuinely think that, a person could be taught.
Coachable.
Yeah.
Coachable.
I never had experiences into where like I was told anything bad for me. But then again, being in relationships I've been in is like always asking questions to get better. Because I think a lot of guys don't know how to just ask questions like, did you like this? Did you like that? Why didn't you like that? You know what I mean? That's how you will get better if we're talking about that. But that could be another topic.
If anything, it hurts more when you become stagnant in the process because you don't know.
Yeah.
So, like, and I'm glad they bring that up because then it's like, for them, especially if someone is sexually narcissistic, then you got to think about how, like, for them, if anything, at that point, you're just a sex toy to them. So they don't care about anything that you do. If you just do this one thing for them and that's it, like, they're good. And you got to think about, like, how for them is like, are we doing sex for the intrinsic the intrinsic pleasure that comes with it, or are we having sex because of the company that it comes with?
What do you mean by that? Like company?
Like the company, because like think about the mixed emotions that you get flooded with, and then you can't logically think, and you think, oh, like see, like my life is so complete now.
Like that comes with it.
Like the company that comes with it, oh, my life is so complete now. I'm gonna do this for him because I love him. He gives me the best sex. Or I love her, yo. She just knows how to do it, right? Like, you know what? I'm gonna
go. She slob on my knob.
You know what? I'm gonna go buy her. I'm gonna go buy her the MK bag that she asked for. Like, it's now making you do things, make you think about rewards, and like as if like why can't we just have sex? Like, thank you for giving me that orgasm. Like, why can't you just, like, no, that's words of affirmation. Like, as funny as it sounds, you got to think about how at least all right, it's funny, but it sounds more wholesome, and it's like, if anything, that's rewarding because, like, not for nothing, like, we had to work, or not me and you, but like, but like me and the woman, like, or just the couples, we had to work together to achieve this. So it's like understanding like that words of affirmation in that moment is like, okay, like, thank you for that. Like, I appreciate that. Not like, all right, I'm buying you that MK bag, baby. Don't worry about it. Like, what? Like, what you mean? Like,
don't worry about it, baby.
Like, you weren't gonna buy it for me before? Like,
hello, mama.
I needed to see you nut in order to get that bag. Damn. So I'm like a lottery ticket that just punched in, huh?
That's a very interesting perspective because I wonder if there is people that out there that really think of it like that, where like, the sex is so good, I gotta do things for you, buy things for you. It's like, why are you like stemming off of it? Like, is she a good girl, or like if we're talking about the other way around, is he a good guy? Like, because girls reward guys in different ways. Like if it's like doing their dishes or even buying them stuff too, buying them shoes, and it's like, guys like getting spoiled too. By the way, you know what I mean? Like you could do it sometimes if they deserve it.
Yep.
Don't spoil a guy if he's like treating you like basura, garbolo juice, gambanzo beans, which means garbage. But yeah,
garbola.
Yeah, it's just to say like, when it comes to a relationship, and even if it's not a relationship, do not settle for what's available to you because of how much of addiction you have towards sex. Because at that point, a lot of times people don't have standards to when it comes to sex because they're thinking about just the pleasure that it gives them or the company, like you said. They don't care to what face it has, maybe to a degree. But when you have lesser options, you just go to the options that you didn't then have.
I got you right.
And that's what makes you settle. And it's like, don't settle for those things. And if you don't know if you have a sex addiction, just keep thinking about of how you use your sexual activity. Like, are you settling a lot? Do you need to beat your meat a lot? Or do you need to use your toy and masturbate or anything like that? Because if you are, I mean, what is that doing for you? It could get you so far, but can you just like control yourself? Can you do it?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So you're not gonna believe what I came across the other day.
What?
A guy got caught on camera beating his meat, in a public food shop, and there was a chick in front of him. Like I say like she had to obviously be grown.
He was at work?
Not no teenager. Nah, it was just a random customer behind her beating his.
Where did you get this at?
It was on IG, but I had to go to Twitter to see the actual video.
What the? Oh man, talking about Twitter, huh?
Yep. So really, really reliable, really reliable. So he was beating his meat, and then when he was ready to finish, he got up closer to her and nutted on her back and her leg, and then he just stormed out. So think about sexual narcissism, like where he could not control himself. And for the guys that don't have sex, and I'm not saying this to explain why, okay, we have to understand why people rape or people do nasty things. But because they are so sexually inactive, they will do things that are so illmatic or even like what's what I'm looking for, or like immoral. Like those things don't make sense. So the fact that he was doing that in public, on top of that, yes, it's a porn category, but things like that are not okay. And these are the type of guys that would get into sex trafficking, that would try to kidnap you. And I mean, hey, look at Jeffrey Dahmer. Like there's a whole Netflix series about how he used to take people into his crib, rape them, hump them, do all this stuff, and drug them up, get them drunk, and then kill them. So it's like, sexually inactive people do crazy, weird stuff. And like in that video I mentioned, get into some kinky stuff.
Yo, you talking about that actually just reminded me to say, before we conclude to the end of this episode, is that people use sex addiction and say, oh, I just have a sex addiction for their bad behaviors. They use that as an excuse. And in a sense, it was like kind of making me think, like, are they self-sabotaging the situation because they know what they're doing and what they're putting themselves into in forms of, if you're talking about rape and all these things and people that do all these bad things that involve sex, it's like, are they self-sabotaging because they know how bad this is? And so they're more likely knowing that they're going to fail or get caught in doing this thing, then they have a valuable excuse for it. Because that's what self-sabotaging means. Self-sabotaging actually means when someone puts themselves in a situation they know they're going to fail in, but they have a valuable excuse for it, for why they fail. Like, oh, I sprained my ankle, so that's why you crossed me up when we were playing ball. Like,
self-sabotage.
That's a valuable excuse, but you put yourself in this situation. And it's almost the same thing. Like, people that have sex addiction, mind you, it's not even clinically proven, so you can't even say I have it. You could just say that I have sexual tendencies of having a lot of urges to have sex, because we just use that as a shorter way of saying it, because it's just as equivalent of being addicted to alcohol.
It's something that's learned with your experience in life, and something that could even be traumatized into your life. And like, we got to even think about the sexual predators that are out there, because they're even trying to get the youths with, social media, the phones. Think about how like predators could even get on games like Roblox and try to interact with the kids, because they know there's nothing but kids on that game. And, with that kind of exposure, and then just trying to sweet talk them to pretend to be a kid, there are people that are practicing to blend in the scene so that way they could be a predator and reach out to their victims.
Yep.
And because they're sexual addictions, because they're probably somebody with a peg leg and a breathing style on the mic and everything like that. And, we got to be safe from people like that. But and also anybody with a sexual addiction, we understand that, having sex a certain number of times is okay for certain people, whether it's 5 to 7 times a week or maybe even 2 to 3 times a week or even bi-weekly. That's okay. But also, if you feel like it is too excessive, not like you have to break up with that person. You just have to communicate and see like what is a boundary that can be okay and what is sufficient enough to make this relationship work. Because sex isn't everything, but sex is an important core value to a relationship to keep it stable and emotionally reassuring of the couple.
Absolutely. And to conclude and end this episode, we just want to let you guys know that sex addiction is something that we should just talk about more and like try to get an understanding if it's something that we're being addicted to. And, asking certain questions and just being mindful of these things. And, it makes us aware and knowing how to assess situations and see like why people do certain things and why they have the excuse for it. And it's always a why. Why this, and then how, and then what, and then now. And to accepting to what it is, but there's always to, change it for what is better. And the only way we can grow from things is to knowing and being aware of it and then assessing and asking questions, because everything is saluted by asking a question first and then try to solve a problem. So, like, it's not to say that there's a sex addiction has a solution, but it is something that you can, assess and be careful with, and like take your time and be like, okay, like, can I be celibate? And like, can I have that self-control and practice in that making of doing so? Because sometimes, people that are going through an addiction of that, it can be very hard for them if they're trying to get out of it. It happens. It's a serious thing, and we don't see it as it to be serious a lot of times. So just let you guys know, it's a thing. And shout out to Paula Hall. I was watching her TED Talk, and she was actually in the field of sex addiction for over 10 years, and she's the author of Understanding and Treating Sex Addiction. And she's actually the one that had the quote that I've mentioned, that is the behavior that defines it, it's not the behavior that defines it, is the dependency on it. So I thought that really struck out to me, because that's what addiction is. So we appreciate you guys. Whatever platform you are guys on, if it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, make sure you leave let us know that it resonates with you. Comment down below. You can also follow us on Instagram on therallycry.podcast, and you can see all our latest clips and probably behind the scenes on our stories. And stay tuned to us having our little Discord, so everybody can vent on there about whatever they want to talk about, or potentially talk about our next topics and suggest it for us. And
future guests.
Oh yeah. Our setup is going well, and we really appreciate you guys. We actually have one clip on Instagram that is really going crazy right now, and it's at 42.6K now.
Oh no, it's at like 42.8 now.
Oh my god, like it just be going up, and it's just the fact of not trusting someone that has a negative outlook. How can you trust that person, like, as an individual, like, if they always have a negative outlook? And it's like,
it's true.
You guys love that, and we really appreciate the love. So I think, down the line, we should just do certain shout outs for people that do certain things. And I don't have anything in mind right now, but I think we should do something that involves I think when we do our Discord, we'll have people mention certain things, and we'll hey, from whatever to Discord, mention this, and we're going to talk about it today on something like that. I think that would be a good idea. So just stay tuned for that.
I think that would be a good idea, because it would be hard, at least right now, to name 42,000 people. I'm just saying.
Yeah, just a good selection. So
50 out of 42K.
Yo, no, not out of that. Like, if we're doing the Discord, we'll grab it. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we appreciate you guys. Remember, just be more aware so that you don't have to get into situations that might blind you, right?
And talk more efficiently.
Yes.
Talk more efficiently.
Absolutely. Until next time, y'all be easy.
Be breezy.
Peace.